Hey everybody, and welcome to Get Indie Gaming and to our series looking at 5 of the most interesting indie games this November on Kickstarter. Before we view this month's picks, let's quickly take a look how the games we featured back in October did with their campaigns. 3 out of the 5 were successful, with Nighthawks the Vampire RPG bringing in over $136,000. Bombfest also met its goal and looks likely to ship in the early parts of next year. Season 2 of The Dark Side Detective was another success story, bringing home €42,000 versus its target of $35k. Sadly, Super Combat Fighter and last month's number 1, Where the Shutter Stops, both failed with their aims, and we await to see where the teams behind them go from here. With last month's overview complete, let's see what indie games we have for the month of November 2018. At number 5, Where the Bees Make Honey is a strikingly beautiful looking puzzle adventure game with a central character called Sunny. Sunny wears a bee costume that enables her to move her surroundings in 90-degree sections, and by doing so the player is able to use the changing landscapes to solve puzzles and progress through the levels. Where the Bees Make Honey features the 4 seasons and will focus on the importance of cultivating an explorative imagination and the nostalgia people can often feel for the time they remember when they were young. So why Kickstarter? If successful, the money from the campaign is to be spent on paying voice actors, covering the cost of console development, and somewhat crucially, having a decent sized slush fund to hand come launch day to help promote and bring the game to a wide audience as possible. This isn't something we tend to see too often in indie game Kickstarters, and it's a refreshing approach. With so many indies launching each and every week, it's becoming more and more vital to secure a decent marketing budget to raise awareness, or you risk being yet another project amongst the many. Hopefully other developers will take note of this. We very much approve. If all things end up going well, it'll ship towards the end of Q1 next year, with it coming to the PC and the Xbox One. With over a quarter of the $5,000 target already met and an end date of December the 7th, Where the Bees Make Honey looks well on its way to being successfully funded. Our number 4, Hazelnut Bastille, clearly borrows hook, line and sinker from Zelda's A Link to the Past, and more generally from the entire Zelda back catalogue. Honestly, this one screams its Zelda inspiration, from the soundtrack to the art direction, to the graphics, and to the gameplay with its combat, puzzle elements, dungeon sections, side quests, and much, much more. That being said, there are additions to the gameplay that stops Hazelnut Bastille from being just another all-out Zelda clone. For example, its use of bullet hell shooter elements, with you having to avoid long-range attacks, while also being able to dish out such punishment yourself, builds an interesting new element to the action. While wrapping up this coming November 29th, the game is already successfully funded past its initial goal of $65,000. Here on, we're looking at the stretch goals, which include additional gameplay elements, ports onto consoles, and additional localizations. Rewards begin at $5, although $15 gets you the game. For $1,000 you can even design an enemy, and for $2,500 you can feature in the game as an NPC with your own lines of dialogue and personality. With a well put together demo to play available now, and a launch window of late 2020, this one is shaping up to offer something that's familiar, with just enough of a twist to be relevant in today's overcrowded, retro-inspired gaming landscape. At this month's number 3, and looking to raise $8,000 before the campaign ends this December 3rd, No Time to Relax is something somewhat different to our usual choices. For those of us of a certain age, you'll remember the life simulation games from back in the 80s and 90s. No Time to Relax is clearly taking inspiration from this classic genre. Players will begin the game with only $200 to their name while living in a shabby apartment, with your goal being to get yourself an education, climb the corporate ladder and earn enough cash to try and find yourself a better life. Such cultural commentary aside, No Time to Relax is looking to launch in February next year and will ship with a single player mode, a 4-player couch co-op option plus online multiplayer. At the moment the game will be coming to the PC, although other platforms are on the cards should funding be successful. Stretch goals include the addition of in-game pets, other localizations aside from English, and somewhat bizarrely, the inclusion of hats for your characters to wear. The game can be yours for $13 with a full RRP once it comes out being $2 more. No time to relax has us feeling all nostalgic, and with plenty of time to go with 3/4 the money raised, we're thinking it might just make it over the line. At number 2, Monster Sanctuary aims to blend together the exploration elements of a Metroidvania with the monster collection, battling and taming you guys will associate with the Pokemon franchise. You'll begin as the youngest of a family of famous monster hunters, and just like in Pokemon, all the monsters can be recruited and trained before being used in battles, with each having their own skill tree that can be unlocked as you level up. On the combat front, Monster Sanctuary differentiates itself with a turn-based RPG system, with each monster having their own offensive and defensive abilities. This will allow players to take advantage of these strengths and weaknesses and to direct their attacks accordingly. There's a target to have at least 50 monsters once the game launches, with around 100 to 200 variations. There's a demo available to play today, and it offers 15 or so of these little critters and up to 2 hours of gameplay. The campaign ends November 22nd, and it's already blown past its goal of a fairly modest €20,000. Stretch goals already met include a port to the Nintendo Switch, more monsters with more variations, and at this rate, we're fairly confident Monster Sanctuary will reach a cool €100,000 to secure an online multiplayer PvP mode. As for the launch timeline, you're looking at early access by the middle of next year, with a full launch in 2020. Our number 1 for November, and already well past its goal of €32,000, Aamna is a 3D explorative puzzle game with more than a passing resemblance in look and character movement to Journey, and the more recent Rime with its crisp graphics and beautiful use of shading. Aamna will take players across a variety of open spaces with different biomes, where players will come across the secrets of a lost civilization, while unlocking unique skills and abilities with a magical staff to help you move forwards. There's also an apparent lack of conflict or violence, which seems entirely in keeping with the overall atmosphere. The one-man developer team Jonas Manka has a long history within film and game animation, which clearly shows in the natural and fluid movements of the central character and other creatures. Manka's certainly aware of the connection to Journey, although he asserts Aamna will take a more active approach to its platforming and puzzle sections. It's already been in development for the past 2 years, and with the core of it already being completed, Manka estimates there's another 10 or so months of development left, with an expected shipping date of September 2019. So far, Aamna will release onto the PC, although ports onto consoles are certainly in scope should the campaign raise enough money to make this a possibility. With Aamna already well funded and plenty of time to go, we're excited to see how much money this raises once the campaign ends this coming December 7th. With Aamna being our lead game for November's rundown here for Kickstarter, we'd love to see your thoughts on our choices, so feel free to drop us a note in the comments or via Twitter. Many thanks for stopping by today, and if you haven't, now would be a perfect time to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be fully kept in the indie game loop. We look forward to welcoming you back here soon for more indie game related videos.